Section 2. Computer Software. Introduction. In the previous study section, we learned that computer hardware is the collection of physical elements that constitute a computer system. In this study session, we will discuss the computer software. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to describe what computer software means. Describe the various categories that computer software can be grouped into. Describe software programming tools. Discuss software quality and reliability. Explain software license. Describe software design and implementation. Computer software. The word software is also sometimes used in a more narrow sense, meaning application software only. It includes computer programs, libraries, and their associated documentation. At the lowest level, executable code consists of machine language instructions specific to an individual processor, typically a central processing unit, CPU. A machine language consists of groups of binary values signifying processor instructions that change the state of the computer from its preceding state. For example, an instruction may change the value stored in a particular storage location inside the computer, an effect that is not directly observable to the user. An instruction may also indirectly cause something to appear on a display of the computer system, a state change which should be visible to the user. The processor carries out the instructions in the order they are provided, unless it is instructed to jump to a different instruction or interrupted. Software written in a machine language is known as machine code. However, in practice, software is usually written in high-level programming languages that are easier and more efficient for humans to use, closer to natural language than machine language. High-level languages are translated using compilation or interpretation or a combination of the two into machine language. Software may also be written in a low-level assembly language, essentially a vaguely mnemonic representation of a machine language using a natural language alphabet. Assembly language is translated into machine code using an assembler. Types of software. On virtually all computer platforms, software can be grouped into a few broad categories. Purpose or domain of use. 1. Application software, which uses the computer system to perform special functions or provides entertainment functions beyond the basic operation of the computer itself. There are many different types of application software because the range of tasks that can be performed with a modern computer is so large. 2. System software, which is designed to directly operate the computer hardware to provide basic functionality needed by users and other software and to provide a platform for running application software. System software includes A. Operating systems, which are essential collections of software that manage resources and provides common services for other software that runs on top of them. Supervisory programs, bootloaders, shells, and Windows systems are core parts of operating systems. In practice, an operating system comes bundled with additional software, including application software, so that a user can potentially do some work with a computer that only has an operating system. B. Device drivers, which operate or control a particular type of device that is attached to a computer. Each device needs at least one corresponding device driver. Because a computer typically has at minimum at least one input device and at least one input device and at least one output device, a computer typically needs more than one device driver. C. Utilities, which are computer programs designed to assist users in maintenance and care of their computers. 3. Malicious software or malware, which are computer programs developed to harm and disrupt computers. As such, malware is undesirable. Malware is closely associated with computer-related crimes, though some malicious programs may have been designed as practical jokes. Nature or domain of execution. 1. Desktop applications such as web browsers and Microsoft Office, as well as smartphone and tablet applications called apps. There is a push in some part of the software industry to match desktop applications with mobile apps to some extent. Windows 8 and later the Ubuntu Touch try to allow the same style of application user interface to be used on desktops and laptops, mobile devices, and hybrid tablets. 2. JavaScript scripts are pieces of software traditionally embedded in web pages that are run directly inside a web browser when a web page is loaded without the need for a web browser plugin. Software written in other programming languages can also be run without a web browser if the software is either translated into JavaScript or if a web browser plugin that supports that language is installed. The most common example of the latter is ActionScript scripts, which are supported by the Adobe Flash plugin. 3. Server software, including web applications, which usually run on the web server and output dynamically generated web pages to web browsers using e.g. PHP, Java, or ASP, .NET, or even JavaScript that runs on the server. In modern times, this commonly includes some JavaScript to be run in the web browser as well, in which case they typically run partly on the server, partly in the web browser. 4. Plugins and extensions are software that extends or modifies the functionality of another piece of software and require that software be used in order to function. 5. Embedded software resides as firmware within embedded systems, devices dedicated to a single use or a few uses, such as cars and televisions, although some embedded devices, such as wireless chipsets, can themselves be part of an ordinary, non-embedded computer system, such as a PC or smartphone. 6. Microcode is a special, relatively obscure type of embedded software which tells the processor itself how to execute machine code, so it is actually a lower level than machine code. It is typically proprietary to the processor manufacturer, and any necessary correctional microcode software updates are supplied by them to users, which is much cheaper than shipping replacement processor hardware. Thus, an ordinary programmer would not expect to ever have to deal with it. Programming tools. They are also software in the form of programs or applications that software developers, also known as programmers, coders, hackers, or software engineers, use to create, debug, maintain, that is, improve or fix, or otherwise support software. These tools may be relatively self-contained programs such as compilers, debuggers, interpreters, linkers, and text editors that can be combined together to accomplish a task, or they may form an integrated development environment (IDE) which combines much or all of the functionality of such self-contained tools. Software quality and reliability. Software quality is very important, especially for commercial and system software like Microsoft Office, Microsoft Windows, and Linux. If software is faulty, buggy, it can delete a person's work, crash the computer, and do other unexpected things. Faults and errors are called bugs, which are often discovered during alpha and beta testing. Software is often also a victim to what is known as software aging, the progressive performance degradation resulting from a combination of unseen bugs. Many bugs are discovered and eliminated, debugged, through software testing. However, software testing rarely, if ever, eliminates every bug. In the waterfall method of software development, separate testing teams are typically employed, but in newer approaches, collectively termed agile software development, often do all their own testing and demonstrate the software to users, clients, regularly to obtain feedback. Software can be tested through unit testing, regression testing, and other methods which are done manually or most commonly automatically, since the amount of code to be tested can be quite large. Software license. The software's license gives the user the right to use the software in the licensed environment, and in the case of free software licensings, also grants other rights such as the right to make copies. Proprietary software can be divided into two types. 1. Freeware, which includes the category of free trial software or freemium software. In the past, the term shareware was often used for free trial freemium software. As the name suggests, freeware can be used for free, although in the case of free trials of freemium software, this is sometimes only true for a limited period of time or with limited functionality. 2. Software available for a fee, often inaccurately termed commercial software, which can only be legally used on purchase of a license. Software design and implementation. Design and implementation of software varies depending on the complexity of the software. For instance, the design and creation of Microsoft Word took much more time than designing and developing Microsoft Notepad because the latter has much more basic functionality. Software is usually designed and created, aka coded, written, programmed in integrated development environment (IDE) like Eclipse, IntelliJ, and Microsoft Visual Studio that can simplify the process and compile the software if applicable. Data structures such as hash tables, arrays, and binary trees, and algorithms such as quicksort can be useful for creating software. Computer software has special economic characteristics that make its design, creation, and distribution different from most other economic goods. A person who creates software is called a programmer, software engineer, or software developer, terms that all have a similar meaning. More informal terms for programmer also exist, such as coder and hacker, although use of the latter word may cause confusion because it is more often used to mean someone who illegally breaks into computer systems. Study section summary. In this study section, we learned that 1. Software is an important component of a computer system. 2. Software can be categorized based on purpose, domain of use, and nature, domain of execution. 3. Software, because of their importance, need to be evaluated for both quality and reliability. This is the end of study section 2. Thanks for listening.